Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today let's go over another medium premium question in the pandas section that I just solved on my own. So again, pretty happy about this, and I was able to solve it on my own without any assistance and again come up with my own solution. So let me show you how I did that. Basically, this question is pretty straightforward as well. What I like to do as always is just look at the picture. So you want to return the transaction IDs, and basically you have these days and you only want to report the transaction IDs. For example, we're only looking at this day. We don't care about this and this. This is obviously bigger, so then we don't report 9 in the result, if that makes sense, because 428 has 21 and 40 is the only one that's valid, which is transaction ID number 5, which is included here. So basically look for each day and look for the maximum amount for each day, and then look for the transaction ID, and for the transaction ID's current amount, see if that amount is the biggest for that particular day. If it is, then include the transaction ID. And then we need to sort this by in ascending to descending order too. So hopefully that makes sense. And let me code it up now. So as I said, basically we want to map the day to the amount. So let's create a default dict of type list, because there might be multiple for 428, for example. So for I, v enumerate transactions day. So we're looping through the day, and then this is kind of nasty to parse. So what I did was I just said current is v string of v, because this is actually not a string data type, dot split. So that gives you this separated from this part. And then we can also just say 0. So let's print current, because that's the first element in the list. Okay, cool. So now we can just put these as the dictionary keys, because a day is multiple amounts for a particular day. So d of cur dot append transactions. So we're done with the date, but we want the particular amount for the same row. So transactions amount of I, and then also we want to sort it, because we're looking for the biggest amount for the current day, for that particular day, right? So let's print d at the end. Okay, so now we got the biggest amount for each day. For 28, for example, it's 40. And now what we want to do is find the transaction IDs that are valid. So we can loop through transactions again. So for I, v enumerate transactions, transaction ID, transaction ID, and then we have to ask, for that, we check the amount for the current row. So if transactions of amount of I, but we have to make sure what it's equal to. We have to get the current row's day, and then the day's last element in the value of the dictionary, because this is the key in the dictionary, right? So comparing, let's just say target is d of transactions of, okay, so this is nasty again. So current is string v dot split of 0 to get just the day without the timestamp. So now we can say the target is d of cur. So if the amount of I is equal to, this is -1 index, so target of -1, then we can print the current transaction ID is valid, right? So let's print v. And okay, so is equal to target -1. So d of current transactions amount I is equal to target -1. Yeah, that should be right. Transactions amounts, why is this out of range? Did I spell this incorrectly? Nope. Let's print target. So that's fine. Okay. Wait, why is this? Okay. So this is the current transaction ID, right? Oh, we're not looking for V, we're looking for transactions of amount or of day of I. So that's what we're looking for. Okay, cool. Now we're looking for the -1. Okay, so I made a little mistake there. So now we're looking for that. And because that is equal to, for example, is equal to the 40, then we know that the current transaction ID has to be in the result, right? And then so we just have to sort these at the end. So let's call this H. If V not in H, because we don't want duplicates either, then H dot append V. And at the end, H dot sort. Let's print H. So now we basically just have our result, right? Okay, cool. So let's get rid of this error by returning a data frame. Transactions columns equals transaction ID. Okay, so now we just have to say dot head length of H, because those are the only unique ones. That's how long it's going to be. These are unique. These are like the primary keys, right? So let's run this. And now we just have to populate it. So let's call this count is 0. The way I like to populate it is just say for IT and enumerate transactions transaction ID. If count is less than length of H, then we can populate it. We just, the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, like just, if we could pop left, this is a queue, we could do that too. So transactions, the current, just going up from top to down. So transactions of transaction ID of I is equal to H of count, right? H is just a 0, and then we're just going to increment the count every single time, meaning that we've used that element. So then at the end, we should have what we need, right? So let's run this. Okay, so it looks like we have exactly what we need. Let's submit it. And there you go, passes all test cases. Again, I'm really happy that I was able to solve this question on my own without any assistance and come up with my own solution to this relatively easily, even though the runtime is in the bottom 7%, as I've mentioned before. Maybe I need to optimize this in the interview. I don't know. You guys tell me. But again, I felt this one's pretty straightforward. Just understand the instructions and know how to use loops, and, you know, it shouldn't be too much of a struggle. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.